Welcome back to Technical Knowledge with Engineers YouTube channel. My name is Ayushkar and today I will explain about what is aircraft and spacecraft and the difference between aircraft and spacecraft. So let's begin with my video. So first of all, I had divided my video in contents which as follows. Contents such as first, history of aircraft; second, method of lifts; lighter than air, which is also known as aerostats; heavier than air, which is also known as aerodynes; fixed wing aircraft; rotorcraft aircraft; third, propulsion. Propulsion is further divided into four types. First one is unpowered aircraft, second is powered aircraft, third one is propeller aircraft, and fourth one is jet aircraft. Fourth point, uses of aircraft. Uses of aircraft such as military, civil, experimental, model, and cargo purpose. So let's start with the history of aircraft. The Wright brothers invented and flew the first airplane in 1903, which was recognized as the first sustained and controlled heavier than air powered flight. Wright brothers built on the work of George Kelly, which was developed by George Kelly in 1799 when he set forth the concept of modern airplane. The Boeing 707, the first widely successful commercial jet, was in commercial service for more than 50 years from 1958 to 2013. Second, method of lifts. 2.1 Lighter than air aerostats, which is also known as lighter than air, use buoyancy to float in the air in much the same way that ships float on the water. They are characterized by one or more large cells or canopies filled with a relatively low density gas such as helium, hydrogen, or hot air, which is less dense than the surrounding air. When the weight of these is added to the weight of the aircraft structure, it adds up to the same weight as the air that the craft displaces. A balloon was originally any aerostat, while the term airship was used for large powered aircraft designs, usually fixed wing. Now you can see the lighter than air aircrafts in the next slide. This lighter than air aircraft is known as hot air balloon. 2.2 That is heavier than air. Heavier than air aircraft such as airplanes must find some way to push air or gas downwards so that a reaction occurs to push the aircraft upwards. This dynamic movement through the air is the origin of the term. There are two ways to produce the dynamic upthrust, that is aerodynamic lift and powered lift in the form of engine thrust. Aerodynamic lift involving wings is the most common, with fixed-wing aircraft being kept in the air by the forward movement of wings and rotorcraft by spinning wing-shaped rotors, sometimes called rotary wings. A wing is a flat, horizontal surface, usually shaped in cross-section as an aerofoil. To fly, air must flow over the wing and generate lift. A flexible wing is a wing made of fabric or thin sheet material, often stretched over a rigid frame. A kite is tethered to the ground and relies on the speed of the wind over its wings, which may be flexible or rigid, fixed or rotary. Next slide will show you heavier than aircraft. The first picture in the slide shows you the Airbus A380 aircraft, which is heavier than air aircraft, which is the largest passenger aircraft in the world. And the second images shows you the aircraft which is known as Boeing 747, which is also known as Queen of the Skies. Fixed wing. A fixed wing aircraft is a heavier than air flying machine, such as an airplane, which is capable of flight using wings that generate lift caused by the aircraft's forward airspeed and the shape of the wings. Fixed-wing aircraft are distinct from rotary-wing aircraft, in which the wings form a rotor mounted on a spinning shaft or mast, and ornithopters, in which the wings flap in a manner similar to that of a bird. An ornithopter is also known as flapping wings aircraft. The wings of a fixed-wing aircraft are not necessarily rigid. Kites, hang gliders, variable sweep-wing aircraft, and airplanes that use wing morphing are all examples of fixed-wing aircraft. The practical, powered fixed-wing aircraft was invented by Wilbur Wright and Orville Wright. Besides the method of propulsion, fixed-wing aircraft are in general characterized by their wing configuration. The most important wing characteristics are number of wings, monoplane, biplane, etc. Wing support, braced or cantilever, rigid or flexible. Wing platform, including aspect ratio, angle of sweep, and any variations along the span, including the important class of delta wings. Location of the horizontal stabilizer, if any. Dihedral angle, positive, zero, or negative. So let's see what is rotorcraft. A rotorcraft or rotary wing aircraft is a heavier than air aircraft with rotary wings or rotor blades which generate lift by rotating around a vertical mast. Several rotor blades mounted on a single mast are referred to as a rotor. The International Civil Aviation Organization (ICAO) defines a rotorcraft as supported in flight by the reaction of the air on one or more rotors. Rotorcraft generally include aircraft where one or more rotors provide lift throughout the entire flight, such as helicopters, autogyros, and gyrodynes. Compound rotorcraft augment the rotor with additional thrust engines, propellers, or static lifting surfaces. Some types, such as helicopters, are capable of vertical takeoff and landing. An aircraft which uses rotor lift for vertical flight but changes to solely fixed wing lift in horizontal flight is not a rotorcraft but a convertiplane. The two images in this slide are the examples of rotorcraft or rotary wing aircraft. The name of first rotorcraft is Apache, developed by Boeing, and the second one is the Chinook, which is also developed by Boeing, and both the rotorcraft and rotary wing aircraft are used by Indian Air Force. Now we come to the propulsion part of our video. Let's start with propulsion. 3.1 Unpowered aircraft. Unpowered aircraft can remain airborne for a significant period of time without on-board propulsion. They can be classified as fixed-wing gliders, lighter than air balloons, or tethered kites. This requires a trajectory that is not merely a vertical descent such as parachute. In the case of kites, lift is obtained by tethering to a fixed or moving object, perhaps another kite, to obtain a flow of wind over the lifting surface. In the case of balloons, lift is obtained through inherent buoyancy, and the balloon may or may not be tethered. Free balloon flight has little directional control. Gliding aircraft include sailplane, hang gliders, and paragliders that have full directional control in flight. The first picture is hang gliders, the second picture is hot air balloon, and the third picture is sailplane. So let's see what is powered aircraft. Propeller aircraft. Propeller aircraft use one or more propellers to create thrust in a forward direction. The propeller is usually mounted in front of the power source in tractor configuration but can be mounted behind in pusher configuration. Variations of propeller layout include contra-rotating propellers and ducted fans. Many kinds of power plant have been used to drive propellers. Early airships used manpower or steam engines. The more practical internal combustion piston engine was used for virtually all fixed-wing aircraft until World War II and is still used in many smaller aircraft. These two pictures are the examples of propeller aircraft. Jet aircraft. Jet aircraft use air-breathing jet engines which take in air, burn fuel with it in a combustion chamber, and accelerate the exhaust rearwards to provide thrust. Different jet engine configurations include turbojet and turbofan, sometimes with the addition of an afterburner. Those with no rotating turbo machinery include the pulse jet and ramjet. These mechanically simple engines produce no thrust when stationary, so the aircraft must be launched to flying speed using a catapult like the V-1 flying bomb or a rocket, for example. Compared to engines using propellers, jet engines can provide much higher thrust, higher speeds, and above about 40,000 feet, that is 12,000 meters, greater efficiency. They are also much more fuel efficient than rockets. As a consequence, nearly all large, high-speed or high-altitude aircraft use jet engines. The first image in the slide is an example of turbojet aircraft. The name of the fighter jet aircraft is HAL Tejas, which is developed by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, and this is the first indigenous, that is made in India aircraft. And the second image is the Boeing 747 aircraft, which is the example of turbofan aircraft. Uses of aircraft. First, military aircraft. Military aircraft used for ensuring safety of nation and airspace. Second, civil aircraft. Civil aircraft used for transportation of passengers. Third, trainer aircraft. Trainer aircraft used for training purposes. Fourth, cargo aircraft. Cargo aircraft used for transportation of goods. And there are so many uses of aircrafts. The first aircraft is a military aircraft, and the second aircraft is a civil aircraft. The third one aircraft is a trainer aircraft, and the fourth one aircraft is a cargo aircraft. Now we comes our second part of our video, that is spacecraft. What is spacecraft? A spacecraft is a vehicle or machine designed to fly in outer space. A type of artificial satellite spacecraft are used for a variety of purposes including communications, Earth observation, meteorology, navigation, space colonization, planetary exploration, and transportation of humans and cargo. Difference between aircraft and spacecraft. We can differentiate aircraft and spacecraft by various parameters as follows. First, shape. There is too much difference in shapes of aircraft and spacecraft. Second, size. We can imagine the size of aircraft and spacecraft, so there is also a difference between both of them. Third, mode of working. Mode of working in aircraft is different from spacecraft. We can differentiate aircraft and spacecraft by their mode of working, because aircraft needs mm, surrounding air for the working of engines, but in spacecraft there is no need of outside surrounding air for the working of engine. And fourth point is the purposes. We can differentiate aircraft and spacecraft by their purposes. Aircraft is used for military transportation, training and cargo, etc., while spacecraft is used for Earth observation, meteorology, navigation, planetary exploration, etc. Fifth point is speed. Speed is varies in aircraft and spacecraft. Speed is higher in spacecraft as compared to aircraft. So by these 5 points we can differentiate aircraft and spacecraft. Thank you all for watching this video.